Let's talk about newborn infant sleep. You may be familiar with the idea that little babies sleep a lot, but they don't always do it in the patterns that the adults caring for them would prefer. So, your typical, and this is based on averages, based on your average statistics, a typical newborn infant sleeps between 15 and 17 hours a day. Um, they don't do it all at once. That's one thing that really gets to new parents, and it contributes to things like postpartum depression and just the stress of the transition to parenting. Even if you're already a parent, it's still stressful because we would like, 7 to 8 or even 9 hour shifts of sleep. But that newborn infant, they're going to sleep in 2 to 3 hour segments. And you will see some slight differences depending on whether they are breastfed or formula fed, bottle fed, because breast milk is digested faster. So you do have a lot of reports that breastfed babies will wake up even slightly more often than your formula fed babies because they wait, they're hungry, their body burns through it, and they're hungry more often. But all newborn babies typically they're waking up a lot, and the most common thing that they're waking up for is they are hungry. They might be waking up because they need to be changed, but nowadays if you're using disposable diapers, not cloth diapers, a lot of them are actually made remarkably well for absorbing things and keeping them comfortable, so that they're waking up less often strictly because they're uncomfortable because they need to be changed. And so there's a lot of going to sleep, waking up, going to sleep, waking up. They do it in chunks essentially. So it is very difficult for the caregivers to try to figure out, how do we structure our day? How do I get a chance to take a shower and to feed myself and do any other duties that I need to do? It is difficult. Any infant who is sleeping less than that, say 15 hours, that's something to bring up at a well baby checkup with the pediatrician or whichever doctor that you're seeing, family doctor, whoever, so they can try to figure out why are they not sleeping, because sleep is very important, because a lot of brain development occurs during sleep. So if they are not sleeping, they might not be getting that optimal opportunity for brain development. Now, some other things about newborn sleep. Have you ever heard the expression sleeping like a baby? It's kind of a ridiculous expression because we use it to mean you're sleeping nice and deep and calm. That's not how babies sleep, though. If you really were sleeping like a baby, I almost hesitate to do this on video, all right? My classes, when I do this live, they laugh, but if you really were sleeping like a baby, you'd be sleeping something like this. Yeah. All right. I'll get to look at that later and see what I look like doing my impression. Babies spend a lot of time in what we call active sleep rather than deep sleep. It is a light sleep. They are easily woken up, but they easily go back into it too. And so when you look down at an infant sleeping, sometimes if you're not that experienced, you might not even think that they are asleep. You might think that they've woken up, that you need to attend to them, that you need to help them. So babies, they do a lot of twitching, a lot of movement. Their faces move a lot. And they can even make noises in active sleep. Infants, also newborn infants, they spend a high proportion of time in what we call REM sleep, REM, which stands for rapid eye movement sleep. And it's named for the rapid eye movements that you see during this time. It's a specific time of sleep, and adults are very reliant on REM sleep too. It's a good stuff happens for our brain health during REM sleep, but we spend less time in it than infants. We spend more time in deep sleep and having deep sleep dreams that infants, they're not getting a lot of that. And so with REM sleep, when you see it, they're moving around. Active sleep, including REM sleep, they're moving around. And so sometimes parents might think, oh no, do I need to do anything? Usually you don't. If they start making noise or crying during active sleep, it's generally recommended you give it a pause. Give it about 30 seconds. If they escalate, then you probably need to attend to them. If they don't escalate and they drift back into sleep, they're fine. You just leave them alone. A lot of new parents, they will wake up their child not realizing that they did that. And so The other thing, I knew there was something else I needed to say. Okay, another thing that you will see during this time is during REM sleep, or during sometimes when I've talked about this on a previous video on a different YouTube attempt of mine, and someone said, "Oh no, that doesn't actually happen during REM sleep." So I'm being cautious with my terminology, but definitely during active sleep, you can see facial grimaces and frowns. So during the active sleep, they can do these things where they look like they're smiling or frowning. They'll do these sorts of things. And so sometimes parents, we see these facial expressions, we want to link them to emotion. We want to say, oh, they're having a good dream, a bad dream. First of all, these sort of reflexive smiles, they can just be from gas. So sometimes it's just gas, but also sometimes it's just the muscles coming online. It's basically the muscles, they are forming connections, they're coming online. It's like the muscles are getting ready for when they are needed for true emotional expression. So if you see smiles or frowns, it doesn't necessarily mean they're experiencing negative or positive emotions during that time.